You tuned in live to Credible Conversations podcast.
Hey everybody, I'm Angela Rye. I'm here with Northwest Credible Messengers having a credible conversation with some incredible people.
It's AKEE Ali is who I be, also known as Kimi Casanova, and I want you to bring your asses over to listen to me have a credible conversation with Northwest Credible Messengers.
Hey, my name is D Smoke. I'm from Inglewood, California, and you are watching Credible Conversations.
Let's go! I'm Angela Rye. I have a podcast called Native Land Pod, and most importantly, and while I'm happy to be with you all today, is I am 206 through and through. I know right now we probably more 425, 253, but still 253.
425 is inside.
No, it's written.
That's
It's
right.
It's coming. It's
Okay.
yeah.
See, you don't know you so far out here. You didn't even know that.
There she go. Almost lives in written.
See,
206 is nearly extinct though.
Nah. Call my number. It's 206.
Call mine. I'ma keep it.
Exactly.
Till the wheels fall off.
No, but that's why I'm happy to be here with you all. I grew up in work that centers our people, ensuring that our folks have what they need. Really excited to hear what you were saying about juvenile detention. I was a youth chaplain at the King County Juvenile in college. And the thing that I would stress more than anything else is that the only thing that separates us is one decision, right? I know that for so many people that is hyper simplifying the thing, but it is empowering to know that you could make one decision and turn your life around as well. And so we spent a lot of time, my best friend and I were both chaplains, youth chaplains at the juvenile. And one of my favorite memories and how I got exposed to the juvenile at all is my church, Mount Calvary Christian Center. We would go once a month to juvenile for Sunday service. And I used to be so happy when, on the other side of whatever, time they spent in juvenile, they would come to the church. And so I believe that ministry is about what you do outside of the four walls of any congregation that you attend. And that ministry really is about service, whatever your offering is, how you give that to your community, how you sow that seed, and allows other people to reap the harvest. You don't necessarily have to reap that harvest. So I think that even when I consider politics and my journey through the policymaking process, it was about service. When I finished law school, I was like, I'm going to be the next Johnny Cochran. I'm going to go, he meant everything to me. Not just because it was, if it don't fit, you must have quit, but he also represented Black Panthers. He was a legend. And so while I was in law school, I was working so hard to work for him. I went to work in Congresswoman Maxine Waters' LA office, and I was like, I'm going to get to Johnny Cochran. And she knew him. They were close. One of his attorneys, Sean Chapman Hawley, who is incredible, ended up becoming like a mentor to me. And it really was just divine because I wasn't like studying his website at that time. I just was like, I know I'm going to meet him. But Sean ended up becoming my mentor, and I was like, I want to work there, which is where she worked at the time. And I got an offer from the Cochran firm, but my spring semester of my last year in law school, he died. And I was like, what am I going to do now? And Congresswoman Maxine Waters was like, I told you to go to Capitol Hill. And I really thought about it. And to me, the thing that I loved about him was his impact. The thing that was good about the policymaking process that I got to witness firsthand from working with Congresswoman Waters was on a macro level with a piece of legislation. You can change lives versus client by client on a micro level. And so I was drawn to the macro level change. I don't know what this is we living in now, right? But I was drawn to that, and she was right. So I didn't go directly to the Hill. I worked for an entity that represented historically Black colleges first, and it was right after Katrina. And so the number of schools that were hard hit by Katrina and the funding deficit that existed for our institutions, I felt pulled to that and called to that too. And so it's always been about service. And as Benny Thompson would say, Congressman Benny Thompson, who is also my boss on the Hill, would say, you're lucky because you get to work for Black people and get paid for it. And I've never seen my work any different than that. Yes, I've helped other people, but my primary focus has always been about how to advance our causes.
That's a beautiful thing.
So I got perfect segue. So when we're talking about, we don't know what time we're living in right now. Like as people are building policy and orgs are working with policy, how do you navigate what's misinformation and what's the correct information? Because right, we're on social media, right, and there's a lot of stuff out there, right? Like, so as we're trying to sift through that and find what's true and what's not, do you have any like advice to those people out there that are looking to become engaged in like policy advocacy and policy making and what that looks like?
First, I'll say this. I have a Harriet Tubman necklace on. And I'm bringing this up because some dummies are on the webs right now saying that Harriet Tubman was not real. Because her name was Araminta. Well, she had a code name. She also known as Black Moses, right? Because of her journey and what she felt called to. Sojourner Truth's name wasn't Sojourner Truth, right? It was Isabella Bumfrey something, right? So it's like we don't understand that people had to do things to protect their ability to survive. We have no idea what slavery was like. Now, we might be able to find out real soon. But, you know, we have to be clear about debunking the things that are harmful to us and not wasting our time on so many other things. I was in this conversation this morning about people were like, you know, we need to do these things for the resistance. We need to do that for the resistance. And I was like, you know, I don't feel called to be in the resistance right now. What I feel called to do is making sure that my people are good, can survive, can get to the point of thriving. And I'm not busy wasting all of my energy on opposing whatever nonsense y'all are creating, right? I want to make sure that regardless of who is in power, our people can farm, our people have land, our people can bank, our people can thrive. I don't think that I feel called to the resistance right now. I had a ring last time this dude was in office and it was like resist. I felt called to resist then. Now, this is what y'all want. This is what y'all gonna get. But I'm not gonna go for it. I'm gonna fight to make sure that we are protected. But I think protection skills and protection strategies very different than a resistance. So I think that part of that misinformation piece is if it's going to cause us harm, I will combat it. If it's not, and people just want to wade in the waters of conspiracy theories, that's on them. But if it's not gonna cause us harm, that I'm just not into it.
Okay.
I only have so much energy, and I got to be a good steward over what I'm called to do.
That sounds like a powerful wellness strategy, right? When I think about that, it's like, would you say that's a form of like preserving your wellness and all the powerful work that you do?
I think it's about, so I think it's a wellness tactic in that it's a boundary. Like my friend Kim has this monthly Bible study, and the pastor who she had on was saying, like, every battle is not yours. And I was like, but there's battles on every side. This was a few months ago. I was like, there's battles on every side. We have to fight. And I'm naturally drawn to a fight. But in that moment, there was something she said that was so resonant with me. I'm like, wait, I really am not supposed to. I'm not an octopus. I can't fight every battle. So I was like, oh, I do need to be more strategic and thoughtful about what battle is mine, what battle is God's, what battle is y'all's. And everyone is not, like, I'm literally not equipped to fight every battle because I don't have the talent or the time or the treasure or whatever it is. There is some reason why I cannot fight every battle. So can I accept that? And it was like in that moment, there was a light bulb. It was like, oh, I can accept that. You know, with my mom battling cancer, my call there is to advocate for her and to ask questions and to make sure that the approach that they're using is best for my mom.
Yeah.
That's my battle. You know, what we're doing with State of the People and making sure that the people who are there feel called and they don't feel like they're serving in resentment. That's my battle. You know, making sure that our people are good and taken care of and connected and coalition building. That's my battle. But like training white women to fight whatever battle they want to fight on the other side of their husbands fighting for this man, not my battle.
Yeah.
This white woman came to us. I talked about this on the podcast, but she came to us and said, it was in Louisville. And I was like, this is a Black center movement, blah, blah, blah. It just got done speaking. And she says, this is not a Black-centered movement. And I was like, it is. And she was like, no, it's not. I'm here. And I said, and I'm so glad you've come. But it is a Black-centered movement. I know because we started it. And she said, well, there are other people like me who need to come. And I said, and that is your call and your mission. It is not mine. So it's the same thing, right? It's like, I'm so glad you feel called to this. That is amazing. Bring all your cousins and them. I'm not calling them. You know what I mean? Like, that's great. I don't even know who they are. If your cousin Pete look different than mine, right? Anyway.
And it's just interesting to hear.
Yes.
It's interesting to hear that there are people, and not surprisingly, but that think that just because they're there, they're now in the center. When, like you said, we started this. So you're so used to being in the center that you would rather push the founders out of the way just because you're here and you think that the center is owed to you. So thanks.
Well, it's discomfort, right? There is, they haven't had to sit in the discomfort of being the only one. That is our daily reality. You know, we can't, how many rooms are we in where people are like, oh, what do Black people think? And you're like, oh, I can tell you what I think, but I'm not about to speak on behalf. If you want to know what all Black people think, get a more diverse room. Let me tell you some people to call. Or you think about what happened on the other side of George Floyd's murder, right? Or your white friends called you crying. They want books. They want you to hear their apology ancestrally. They want to, write guilt check money and then pull it back several months later. But they have all of these things that they want to do that they want us to hold because it's uncomfortable, So anyway, that's another podcast for another day.
That's powerful, though, because that's real. I think that's one of the things, too, when we talk about wellness that we get impacted by, right? Like people who center whiteness all the time, even
all
in our
the time.
movements.
They don't even mean to.
Yeah.
And our people, too, it's a trauma response, right? It's like, this is what I know we have to do because if we don't do it this way, it won't get funded or the funding will get cut. Or especially right now, you better not say Black. You can't say Black. If you say Black, it's gonna, like all of that. It's a trauma response. We have been trained to shrink and to be quiet and to accommodate them to the point of our, demise, into our detriment. Yes.
I think that's a powerful statement because we have some folks and partners, foundations, and systems that we work with that are like, you haven't seen the list? Like, there's this list of things we can't say anymore because there's no more DEI. It's like, well, we're going to continue to say those
Y'all
things.
Y'all got to send me the list. Yeah, right? But it's hard. It is like, now that's an act of resistance.
Yeah.
My visibility is a protest, right? My ability to live or be seen or be heard is an act of protest. That is wild. And that's something they would never be asked to hold. And I think they have to be, like if we said you can't say, like they don't see themselves normally as white or whatever, they see themselves just as human. You can't say human. They'll be like, what do you mean? Yeah, they're trying to erase our ability to just be.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about state of the people, right, and you've been going across the nation, you've been going to different cities.
It's powerful. Right,
super powerful, and checking the temperature on the ground, right? Quick Washington plug, right? As we're talking about Washington and like actionable steps on what states and cities can do as far as legislation. Pretty sure you're aware, but Washington is leading in, right? Like we got a police accountability law passed, and we have the housing where it's like reparations, where like they're giving people 20% down, right? Those are just two, right? And then obviously we did the barbers and the beauticians. There's barbers and beauticians in every city, right? So those are like 3 actionable steps. What are some more actionable steps, right, for states that aren't Washington, right? We're like a little bit earlier in the fight.
Yeah, I would say there are several things. One is this is a plug for our Black Papers process. We, through State of the People, and it was is being led by Dr. David Johns. He's our editor-in-chief for the Black Papers Policy Initiative. We have received now over 33 Black papers, 700 pages of policy recommendations and strategies for Black folks. And so one, I would say for states, municipalities, and the federal government to look at those Black papers and make them actionable legislation, right? Ordinances, executive orders, executive actions that can be taken at every level of government. I think that there's so much to do, and it starts with making sure our people have clean drinking water. Being in Jackson and hearing about the houses in Jackson that still have dirt floors. the people who can't afford to pay their electricity bills making decisions about whether or not they should drive their car to work or to get their bill paid by us. The number of people who are houseless in communities all over the country. A sister named Kenya we met who volunteered with us from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. in Newark, who went home to a Red Roof Inn. And every night when she goes home, she makes sure the seniors who are also staying in that facility have groceries. So just giving them grocery cards. Knowing that the things that we did to provide a Band-Aid for a bleeding, gushing gunshot wound, we know that it takes structural change. And that means that it has to be addressed at a policy level. So from clean drinking water to kids being able to read about themselves in books.
Representation.
Yeah. Right. And it not to be stripping them of their right to read about themselves by banning books where they would see themselves just because your guilt can't take it.
Yep.
So we gave out banned books, and we gave out free lunch, and we gave out grocery cards, and we gave gas cards, and I mean all of the things. Seeing these folks, and I'm sure y'all have been through this, given the work you do, you want to empty your bank account, and you know that by next week, the same people will have the same issue because it is systemic and structural. And so the changes have to happen there, but there's something in you that is like, that's not going to happen quick enough. And so the thing that I would impress upon our people really is move with the sense of urgency that you would want somebody to move for you or for your family. You know, that is the call, the clarion call that we should issue to our legislators, to our mayors, to the one governor we have. That's what I would say. There's not a lot that's going to happen at the federal level right now because too many of the folks on the other side of the aisle that is really dwelling in erasing blackness are kissing this president's behind. So it's causing more harm than good because they won't even make peace with the fact that it is as dangerous and as treacherous out here as it is.
That's real. I've never seen anything like this before.
I don't think any of us have.
Yeah.
We've gone back 60 years in terms of progress, and he erased it all in 3 or 4 months. So what I've really been wrestling with, Congressman Lord Jesus, I'm sorry. Congressman Charles Rangel just passed away. He's one of the CBC founders, and I still worked there.
So acronyms for people listening that don't know. CBC.
Oh, Congressional Black Caucus.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that. He was one of the founders. I got the opportunity to work for him when I was the Congressional Black Caucus executive director. And when he was retiring, he said to us that sometimes he wonders if it would have been better for them to have spent more time on economic policy than social policy. And a lot of the members were upset about that. But in his mind, what he was saying is if we had the money to pay for our progress, it wouldn't be so easy to dismantle it. He's saying this in 2012. And we look at 2025 now. They have Project 2025, where they've erased diversity, equity, inclusion, textbooks, history books, Harriet Tubman on the Underground Railroad, on the National Park Service website. I mean, all the things that have happened. Well, the Smithsonian is going to be fine because it's like it's a quasi-governmental entity with a lot of private donors. So get your memberships.
Okay.
If you don't have them, pay a little $20 a month. You spend more than that on something on Amazon if you're still shopping on there. But like, if you think about what they have dismantled and what all of the civil rights entities inside the federal government are working to dismantle, just by protecting white male Christians, we've lost a lot of ground. And some of the ground was lost, sure, in 2013 with the Shelby versus Holder Supreme Court decision, but so much of it has been rolled back just within the last few months. And I think that goes to say something. If we had doubled down in the economic power that we know could be ours, not just our buying power, but our economic power, how we spend our money, how we withhold our money, what's happening with Target and the Target Fast that Jamal Bryant and Tamika Mallory and Nina Turner and others are leading. What could really happen if we didn't just withhold, but we double down and pouring into us? And that's why I keep saying resistance is not sufficient for our power. Resistance can starve them from something, but if we don't use that to feed something for us, what did we really gain? And that's why I want to focus on what we gain when we coalition build, when we come together, when we collaborate. We have a lot we could gain.
Right.
I think that what you said is powerful. One, because we are the largest consumers. But what's the strategy to educate, each other on that just that concept of unity?
Yeah, I think it's really practical. If you agree to starve something and the only way your people can eat is if that thing is still fed, then you got to provide an alternative. If you're watching people create policies to erase you, you have to write ourselves back into whatever the processes are. If you know that your friends who were in diversity, equity, and inclusion based jobs or had those contracts, and you know that they are great at what they do, you've got to create alternative space. If you know that certain things have to be funded, what are we doing to harness resource? If we know that we did a 5 points activation at the National Assembly where the food and water supply was cut off, what do? The electric grid is attacked and power's out for 30 days. How are you moving? If the cell phone towers go down and there's no internet access either, how are you going to communicate? Ain't no organizing on Instagram or wherever else if you can't get on the site. How are you organizing the people in your community? There's a white supremacist attack like the J6ers and you're in a bunker. How do you protect yourself? ICE comes up to detain you as they just did, according to Sherilyn Ifill, who spoke to us on Friday night, a black citizen, a black man who's a citizen in this country. Because now if you can't get before a judge to determine that you are in fact a citizen, ain't no birthright citizenship for us, not since Dred Scott. So if we have to defend against all of these things, who are you talking to? Turns out that beef you had is not that serious. Turns out that the people whose talent you respect, but you don't like how they are because they're too egotistical or not egotistical enough or whatever. We need all of us right now in a very real way. And I think the thing that concerns me the most is I'm not sure that we're getting it. This stuff is like literally a frog's hair away. That's some real fine hair. Like we right there.
Policy advocacy. You got to educate people on their vote, right? Their voice.
But it's not even just, I think that where we get messed up too is our folks are treated like our political power is just in that one transaction of voting. It's not. It is building an agenda. It's advocating for that agenda. It's ensuring that folks know we're not disposable, even if we're not the largest check writers into campaigns. We shouldn't just be reduced to a singular vote. It should be so much more than that. There's so many other things that we can do and must do politically to survive beyond that ballot box. Not saying don't vote, but that's just one it's a threshold issue.
So when we're talking to the black community, right, a lot of times, forgive me, but I'm going to go here, right, there's distrust in, like, policy, right, in politics, right? So it's like, for example, I don't know, Ice Cube came up with the platinum plan. People were like, why are you talking to Trump? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? So, like, unpacking all the trauma, and then earlier we said a lot of times our people defend the white spaces, right, and don't know how to do it. So, like, in order to come to a unified decision, so to speak, was like, first we got to be able to kind of get on the same page. And what is the medium now? What is it? Hip hop? What is the medium that allows us to get on the same page, right? Because some people might not care about politics like that unless it's directly impacting it. Then people say, oh, I got a check from Trump right away, right? And they're like, I'm voting for Trump, right? Because a lot of time too is instant gratification, right? When you've been starved of thinking long term and like, this $1,500 is about to hit right now, so that's my guy, right? Like, so what do you think is the best? I might have already asked you this, but like on the whole, how do you get black people on the same page?
Well, here's the first thing. There's a lot in there. The platinum plan, I would ask Cube, and I love him, where's the platinum plan now? When he goes, because he presented that platinum plan to Donald Trump in 2020. When you put that platinum plan against what Donald Trump did the first time, how much of it was really accomplished? So you met with them. You convinced people to maybe neutralize this man. Was it worth it? Right? When you talk about the STEMIs, I would say to people that I think they're really mistaken about the fact that Those were passed by the House of Representatives in the United States Senate. So that was a democratically led process. It really took the whole of government to make that happen. Now this administration doesn't use the legislature anymore. They decided that they're the judicial branch and the executive branch and the legislative branch. What are they doing for black people now that they have control and they don't think they need us anymore? Where's this stemming now? You know, and I would also say, if people are telling you that they don't need diversity, equity, or inclusion, and he has one single black person working in the White House. There's one black person who works in the White House. Not in the cabinet. I think there's one black person in the cabinet of HUD always, no matter who's in charge, which is the Housing Urban Development Agency. One black person who works in crypto in the White House counsel's office. You will not see yourselves reflected anywhere else, right? And so when you're dealing with people who will challenge birthright citizenship, which at its core existed for black people who were treated as chattel in the institution of slavery, I think that tells you all you need to know. On Juneteenth, Donald Trump didn't tweet Happy Juneteenth. He tweeted that we have too many holidays, that people need to be going to work. So if people are still confused about what he really thinks of us, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's willful ignorance at this point. And I'm not saying that there are other parties that are better. What I'm saying is you don't have to put your trust and hope blindly in any elected official. You should put your trust and hope in your community and hold everybody equally responsible for pushing forward your agenda. We have an agenda. It's in our black papers. It ain't the platinum plan. I'm sure I don't disagree with the platinum plan. They're welcome to submit it as one of the black papers too. But don't be like, oh, he gave the platinum plan to Donald Trump and he did something with it. He didn't do nothing with that. He used it as toilet paper.
Got you.
How do we get our hands on the black papers?
Oh, it's easy. Stateoftheppl.com/black papers. And we have everything. And like I said to y'all earlier, I would love for you all to look at what we have around public and community safety, around wellness, and see what we're missing. It's an open process. We want all great black ideas. It ain't never a bad, great black idea. When it's for the people, we with it,
Okay.
It's beautiful. I think hearing your story, I hear a lot of history, right? And I kind of wanted to touch back on some of the pieces that you talked about. I heard some of like the fundamental pieces, like you talked about Johnny Cochran being a Panther,
or representing the Panthers.
Representing the Panthers. And then, just kind of getting back to like the you in all of this, in the way that you came up, right? Like, what's it like being the daughter of such a visionary leader like your father, Ray Eddie Rye?
It's a lot. My dad is, I'm gonna tell you this, we all have ADD. Well, me and my dad do. My mom does not. She just always shaking her head at us. He is a busy butt. Like, he is always moving. It's always a protest. He has bullhorn still in his car. It might not have batteries, but he definitely has the bullhorn.
You got a voice for it, huh?
We have more signs in the garage from every protest. My mom was like, do you need to keep all the signs? This all memorabilia. He didn't know when he needed to run the thing back. Like, there's not a protest that my dad doesn't love, that he's not right in the middle of. And I think I'm grateful for those roots. And also my mom's. We were having this conversation with her at a recent chemo appointment. I was like, Mom, I think you might be more radical than Dad. She was like, why? And I was like, because you're the one that took me to see Betty Shabazz and Bobby Seale and even Tim Wise with his very white self, but he's about that life.
Definitely Alan.
And I was, yeah. And I was like, Daddy, you didn't. He was like, your mama might beat her, But he was, protests. And I know that the reason we even founded a Black student union in high school is because I knew I had their support, my best friend and I. It's still there, by the way, at Holy Names Academy.
Hey.
But yeah, I just don't know anything else other than fighting for Black people. I think me and my dad disagree on tactics often, but we absolutely agree on the end goal. We always disagree on tactics. Yeah, means to the end is different, but I think it's necessary. I think that if Black people realize that we all have a role to play and one is not more important than the other, they're equally important, and we can't get there without the coalition, we'll be so much better. Like, even if you look at some of the key players in the civil rights movement, they all did something important. SNCC was important. NAACP at that time, which was as conservative as it could be, National Urban League, they needed a Dr. King who they thought was super radical. They needed a Malcolm X who they thought was even more radical. They needed the Black Panther Party, which was even more radical than all of them. But when you have that and you can structure it in a way where you like, oh, these ones out here. Now everybody knows this is the thing we want. They way out here. Now all of a sudden this thing right here sounds reasonable. And we want to have those same type of tactics. Like, who can we get out there?
Polarization.
Well, it's not even that. It's like, if you go ask for the thing that's like the craziest dream, we want $500 gazillion in reparations and never pay another tax bill in our lives.
Right.
Now, when they come back and say, okay, well, we're going to do a tax abatement program for 15 years, people are like, well, that's what we wanted anyway. That over there sounds crazy, but this right here sounds real reasonable. I think we need to employ some of those
negotiations. Aim high, see what you get.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you aware? I'm sure you are. Dr. Claude Anderson.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a lot of his books I read, Powernomics, right? Mm-hmm. Like that type of thing. It seems like our elders already came up with solutions, but we just
nothing new under the sun. And that's the thing. It's like, if we would just go back and listen, when we just did our General Assembly in Baltimore for State of the People, Larry Ham, who was one of the youngest delegate at Gary, Indiana, 1972 at the National Black Political Convention, he spoke to us. Mm-hmm. And I was telling him, I was like, Mr. Ham, I just want you to see what we have to make sure that we're not missing anything, so that when we look at this, we know we're building upon the foundation that y'all laid. So we're not recreating the wheel and not making the same mistakes. What could we do better? What could we do to advance this so you not only feel proud, but feel like we're moving in the right direction? I think young folks sometimes, I'm not young anymore, I'm 45, but young folks sometimes,
couldn't tell.
Thank you. Yes. Feel like we're starting something new. We're doing something new. There's none of this is new. Even our agenda items aren't new. They had DC statehood in the 1972 National Black Political Agenda. They took a pledge then. We did a pledge. I modified their pledge and updated it. And we added some agreements. We need all of that to be collaborative. It's the 30th anniversary of the Million Man March. What were the agreements that they made then that we need to follow up on, that we need to revisit, that we need to recommit to? That's not new. They used to meet around our emancipation every year before the Emancipation Proclamation. We should have never stopped those meetings because we're really not free, right? If we're still meeting around our freedom and liberation and prosperity and land ownership now, then that means there were some gaping holes along the way, and we should be building upon those things, not saying, oh, we're going to recreate it. No. We just need to build upon the progress and where there wasn't progress.
And I like the phrasing of following up, because it can feel like, you said, with newer generations, like, they dropped the ball here, so now we have to pick it up, or this is like a new concept. But no, it's just following in, it's checking in, it's accountability for this was already standing. We're checking in to make sure that we're moving along and moving forward. It also kind of takes the ease off. A lot of leaders, a lot of people, a lot of Black people are tired, especially with this political state right now. And it's seeming like every day there are 15 things, not just one new thing. It is like a million different things coming all at once. It's important to just be like, we're following up on what's happening. But also, how do you see political action or policy being intertwined with wellness and behavioral health? How can we check in with one another as we continue on with this?
Yeah, it's imperative. Like, one of the things that we said during the State of the People Power Tour is that we cannot go into communities asking people to show up for us when we haven't even said, how are you doing? When we haven't even said, what do you need? Like, the most fundamental way to be well is to ensure that your basic needs are met. So you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like, do you have shelter? Do you have food? Do you have water? Do you have safety? If you don't have all these things and we're telling you the most important thing you can do is go vote, we're tone deaf. We're ignorant. We're like, you cannot do that. You got to start. There has to be a different starting place. And we cannot, I don't think, contribute to the transactional nature in how we deal with our people. We're not even wired that way. We're a village-based people for a reason. We're a communal people, which means we have typically taken care of needs. When do we stop doing that?
When we lost culture.
I refuse to believe that we lost culture.
How did we get here?
I think we are starving of resources, and we started making calculated or not so calculated decisions about who we would sacrifice. I think that There were some folks who were upwardly mobile, and they were like, as long as I'm taking care of mine,
10
we're good. I don't even know if it's talented 10. It might be talented 1. You know,
Okay.
it's like a finite 1%. And I think that people got caught in trying to be Eurocentric in their approach. Right. But I don't know that means that culture was lost. I think it was put on the back burner. Yeah.
So original culture was replaced for a Eurocentric culture to preserve upward mobility for said person, right? Like, so I'm gonna move like this, and whoever's left is just, you got to deal with what you got to deal with type of vibe, right? So now culture's fractured, right?
I think that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's lost. I think that there are keepers of culture,
yes,
who've honored it as sacred, and that's why I just want to be careful with my words, because on this tour I've seen it everywhere. I've seen it in remarkable ways. Like before we did the tour, I was like, I don't even know what we about to start from scratch. We don't have to start from scratch. A lot of people are doing the work and just don't have the platform, or they don't have the capacity.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? Like if they had the capacity by being networked to these 3 entities that are doing it in the tri-state area or in the mid-Atlantic region.
So networking is definitely going to be.
And networking, I think, is a Eurocentric concept,
okay.
But it's like the communal approach to their, my prayer throughout the tour has been, God, we have everything we need, and I thank you, because we have enough. We just don't know it's there. So it's like, how do we provide exposure to people so they know? So one of the things we heard the most is, I'll use Jeffrey Wallace. Jeffrey Wallace in LA was like, I've been doing this work for 20 years and I don't know these folks. And now we're connected. So the initial thing, that initial ring, is the connection. And then the second part is the collaboration. And then to me, the third part is the coalition building.
So
right?
bro talks about breaking down silos all the time. Right? So that's a real thing is what I mean.
Yeah. And it's creating a space so that people know they can trust that when they share, it won't be stolen. And they'll know that it won't be stolen if they know that it's sufficient, that there's enough for everyone. We have been conditioned to be pit against each other, to fight against each other, because we've been resource starved. No matter what side of the aisle, it's a bipartisan, racist, structural problem. And if we could say that is not the paradigm that we're coming into this with, we're coming in with the mentality of abundance. There's enough for all of us, and we have enough for all of our folks.
Yes.
That's it. Like, we are so talented and so innovative and so creative. And we've had some instances along the way on the tour where, people just couldn't get it, where they really couldn't get it. But for the most part, I'm talking about 3 or 4 people couldn't get it. Fine. You're not called to this in this moment. You will be back around. We are not leaving you for good, but we just leaving you for right now.
Okay.
Right? So you figure it out. So you get the vision.
Right.
But when I tell you the number of people have been like, oh, no, I got it. I understand. There's something I'm supposed to pour in here. So when people arrive with their gift and they pour into the container, the communal container with their gift.
Arrive with your gift into the communal container, please. That was bars, Angela. Arrive with your gift.
But you reap a harvest. You reap a harvest. There is something in it for you. But if you come with well, what's this about to be for me? Like that egotistical, somebody needs to serve me thing. You don't leave with anything.
Is that Eurocentric? Not to cut you off.
I do think so. It's like a colonizer kind of paradigm. It's a taker paradigm. That's not the kind of people we are. We are not that way.
I think the political attack on basic resources contributes to that too.
1,000%.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you are resource starved, you do not think that you have anything to give. There's a scripture. I'm about to mess this up. My best friend always makes fun of me. But there's a scripture in the Bible. I don't remember if it's Elijah or Elisha, one of the prophets, went to the woman, and the woman didn't have anything left. She had enough to make one more bread
And she had a son.
Yeah. She had enough for them. And he was like, you supposed to make that for me. And she hell I am. But she did. And when she did, the resources appeared. If we can understand that even in our lack, We are an abundant people. We will never lose. We will never have not enough. And I think that's it. It's like we have to believe. And this tour, I mean, it has really restored my faith because I've seen it happen over and over again. Like, we're like, we're tired. We don't know. I'm like, I just feel called to keep going. If you don't feel called to keep going, I got
Inspired
you.
action.
I get it.
Yeah.
So there's this, quick little tidbit about the police accountability. So Andre Taylor got it passed, right? But one of his things, he had an advisory board. They were like, you can't move the law forward until you get the funding. He was like, I'm a black man in America. I just have to have the message, and then the funding will come, right? So he moved. The way we have to move is different than the way Eurocentric, because they come from long money and they come from all that. But it's like, we come to the table with our gifts, right? I truly believe that to be true. So it's like, we got to move different.
It's the truth. And especially right now where there's so much to be afraid of, right? If we sit in our fear, that fear will arrest us. It is literally suffocating us. It is literally starving us. If we can say, even though I'm fearful, I'm still going to move in faith. It comes. When I tell you, I'm ready right now. I'm like, I can walk on water right now.
Hey!
I really believe like we have everything we need. I've seen it in every single city. Blown away. Like even this, I didn't know all the aspects of the program, but I remember Taco telling me, I'm like, we have enough. And if everybody knew what everybody was doing, we put together one mighty program, we would raise $1 gazillion.
Come on.
But people have to get, besides like, oh, if I do this, I'm gonna lose my $100,000 grant. But what if you ended up with $10 million?
The world is watching Black Americans too. The world is watching us.
You killing me with this voiceover.
That's his conscience.
His conscience is targeted.
Political conscience. You know, one of the things that I would say too that I think I keep hearing the theme and the narrative is in our communities, I see a lot of people that are hooked on the program dollars versus the political approach. And the one thing that I would say is, you know, in 2018, we launched this Politicizing Our Youth campaign. And every year we've done voter education, we've done policy advocacy, like really policy 101, teaching people about the political process, how to frame their message for both sides, to have a nonpartisan message, but still have your message in there. And the one thing that I've noticed is, you know, we've learned a lot. We've learned how to write provisos. We've learned how to build relationships with folks who might not have the same understanding of our communities. But when you show up to the Capitol with 75 people with the same message, things happen. And we've helped a lot of different communities around the state get funding that way. So I've seen that inspired action really work. But what would you say to the folks who do get stuck on the program Band-Aid, right? Earlier you said it's a gushing bullet wound and we're throwing a Band-Aid on it. And it's like we get so disillusioned that we run to the Band-Aid instead of trying to disarm the assailant. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Okay. That's the truth. Here's the thing that I would tell you. I think that if what we've seen in the last few months is that everything that we've worked for years, the entire civil rights movement, I won't say that it was about those three bills, the Civil Rights Act of 64, Voting Rights Act of 65, Fair Housing Act of 68. It wasn't about those three bills, but it was solving for the things that were in those measures as well as several other things. If we could watch that all dissipate in a matter of months, why would we think that foundation dollars and dollars that they wrote into legislation or grant programs at the city and municipal level, and city, municipal, and state level, why would we think that those things are safe? So to me, what I would love to push us towards is the type of abundant mentality that says we actually can self-fund these things. I know it is a stretch. I heard that sigh.
I believe in it.
We have to, because I'm not saying that means you shouldn't go and raise money with the foundations. But I have so many friends who've been having foundation conversations like, our advisor said we can't do black stuff. Our whole,
that's the
we're
fear
gonna be, they're gonna take our tax exempt status. That conversation is happening everywhere. So if they cut off your resources with a federal grant, which is happening, a state-based grant, which is happening in some states that aren't, Washington State, we're a little bit better right now, but we don't know how long that's going to be the case, especially if they're like, well, if you're going to be a sanctuary city or state, these are all the cuts you're going to experience. we don't know how long they're going to be able to hold, the banner of courage.
Yeah.
So if you're relying on these things as safety, but you'll never go to your own community for safety, for security, for what we know we have. Now, we're the most philanthropic people in the country. We give our money to churches regularly. We are very, very philanthropic. What happens when we do a little bit? If everybody gave $20, I think that we really could solve some things. You think about the number of Black folks who are in labor unions and pay dues. We can do something markedly different if we believe that we have that power. I think that we're in a really dangerous space if we keep counting on government dollars and philanthropic dollars to save us, especially if it don't come from us. It's the truth. I hate to put people in that position, but I'm like, how much more of your money do you need to watch dissipate? My friends that run violence prevention programs and the way those
funding, it's gone.
It's gone.
CV is gone. And you think about it, it's like people get so reliant on the problem being the solution that it's like, it's crazy making. You know what I mean?
And the other thing is, can you blame people for being like, no, y'all owe me this? That's true. But what happens when they get to the point where they don't feel like they owe you? Where they're tired of sitting in white guilt? Anyway, I just think that we really need to wrestle with what is actually before us. And I don't think that any of that money is safe.
What do you think about economics in Black and brown communities?
Well, that's a broad question.
I would say collaborative economics, people being cooperative, building together, investing, strategizing.
With Black and brown folks. I think that in order for us to get collaboratives with brown folks, we got to trust each other first. If we don't even trust ourselves, I'm fine. I was Rainbow Coalition all day. I'm cool with Black folks, Asian folks, indigenous folks. I'm good. That is not the story for most of our folks. They're like, Rainbow Coalition where and why? Because we fighting right now. Yeah. And there are people that are like, deport them all. I'm like, y'all are dumb. When you look at some of your heroes, they are the same people that are going to get deported. Black folks are the worst kind of other to these fake ICE agents. Some of these people ain't even real ICE agents. We're going to be the ones. So I would like to see it, but I think that we have some work to do internally first and hopefully very quickly. Because it would definitely behoove us to be all working together.
So with that being said, I got just a curiosity. One of our mantras is there's power in unity. We do believe that relationships produce results. What would the likelihood, because you're ready to fight, and you can walk on water.
I can hear. I feel her. I feel her energy, and we will walk with you.
I feel like you definitely come in here and push forward some inspired action. But what would it look like to partner to host one of your State of the Peoples locally?
So we've been talking about what the next phase of the work will look like, because doing 12 cities in 10 states in 6 weeks was a lot. I think that realistically, the amount of effort it took is not sustainable for all of our folks. But one thing that I kept saying, and I mean this, is we are abundant. So people kept coming forth. We had somebody, it was like, it felt almost like an auction. In Urban League, I spoke at their National Legislative Day, and the guy was like, we got $50,000 right here from Austin. We ready to go. What we doing? Right? Like, they were ready. But it isn't just about that. It's about the essence of the thing being the same. So we've been talking about developing a blueprint that people can take into their communities to do some version of it. Whether it's just the town hall or it's just the rally, or by the way, I think the rally is the thing we need the least, which surprises me. The workshops, all of the things that our people can offer, the resource fairs and event, which allow people to see like, oh my God, there's a drug treatment program, or this, there's a juice bar, or whatever it is, those different resources. But you're not the only one who's asked. I want y'all to know that I asked for Seattle because I'm always going to represent the town. I was outvoted because it actually was a democratic process.
Okay.
And LA won out. Turns out they have a few more Black people in LA than we have.
Just a few.
Just a few.
Than we have in
It's gonna
Seattle.
happen every time.
But yeah, I think that I would love to see it happen in more spaces. The other thing that I would offer up to folks is contributing to the Black Papers process It is also to make sure that you hold these delegate meetings so folks can run for delegate in their states. We are doing what we're calling our international assembly in January. So we just did a delegate training program that is available on our site. We want people to do that.
Can you say the site again?
Yes, it's stateoftheppl.com. I don't know our YouTube, but I know it's on there. I'm going to have them embed the delegate training on the website. But it's good. And I think that people knowing, like, okay, we didn't have a State of the People tour, so there aren't already these designated leaders. We want to chair this effort for this meeting so that we have delegates come. That's what Gary, Indiana did so well. They had 10,000 people come from across the country who represented delegates. Represented the interests of their states for Black people. So I want to do that. I think that if we start building our own infrastructure, it is a political and a policy-based and a communal space where we're accountable to each other first. Now, when we put out a statement, it's on behalf of Black America, and there are people who have been voted on by their community saying, not the buck stops here with George Floyd, or we don't support this. And this is, that it's on behalf of an elected representative body. I think that's powerful. I bet if we could go back and ask Amiri Baraka or Charles Diggs or even Reverend Jackson, which we still can, maybe.
Amiri, not to cut your wisdom, but Amiri Baraka, is he out of New Jersey?
He was. That's Ras Baraka's daddy.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So not to cut your wisdom. So he sent me to New York to train with KRS-One for hip hop. Part of our program is we teach positive identity formation through the lens of hip hop. But he gave KRS-One in the building, right? Amiri Baraka did to hold that space for a community. It's like probably a 7,500 foot square building in Newark, right? So I thought that's a collaboration that happened in real time.
That's what's up.
Right. So that was a whole building, right? So like that was powerful for me to actually see
Was it the mayor? The mayor that Ras Baraka?
Yeah, so
or his dad?
So KRS-One knew both of them, right? I don't know which one did what he did, but excuse me, I think it was his son who just became recently, right? But his dad watched him MC right in the 80s and the 90s, so it's like.
And was a beautiful poet. Amiri Baraka was a beautiful poet. So that's Raz's dad, and he was one of the creators of the National Black Political Convention in Gary.
All works together, yeah.
So even Raz, like they've tried to do this before. I don't know what happens and why we can't build back up the delegate process, but I would bet you the thing that our elders would probably say is they would have wanted the delegates to stick around for much longer than that one convening. So if we can keep the delegates intact to represent policy interests, to weigh in on the Black papers, to vote on different policy positions we should take, I think that could be really powerful. I wouldn't say that it would be a standalone party, but I do think that it is a representative body that tells people where we stand on things. When I look at other communities like the Jewish community and how they weigh in on the political process, what we may lack in financial contributions, we will have in keeping the power of the people together. And I think if our people see themselves adequately represented in this way, they will weigh in on policy. They will weigh in on politics. Earlier you mentioned we don't trust the process. There's a woman named Harriet Washington who wrote a book called Medical Apartheid, and I interviewed her on a platform before, and I was talking about how the healthcare system, we don't trust in the healthcare system. And she said, I'm going to correct you like I did in my book. I said that the healthcare system has not proven itself trustworthy to Black people. So this process hasn't proven itself trustworthy to Black folks, and that's what we have to change.
Healthcare, health, wellness. I don't want to abuse your time. You've been an amazing guest.
Thank you.
But in closing, I just have some questions for you. 45 years old. You look amazing. You're doing great work. You can walk on water. What keeps you centered? How do you stay grounded?
Definitely my faith. I'm surrounded by a community of amazing people who will tell me about myself, correct me, uplift, encourage me, see my blind spots. I think that's so, so, so important. I feel like I'm just listening to God right now. You know, like, what do I feel called to do? I can feel it. I feel super intuitive and discerning about that right now. I'm actually surprised But I think being able to create some distance from the news cycle and deepening into community what's needed has really helped a lot.
That's powerful. Thank you. I appreciate you. We got one special request. So every time we do one of these, we just ask the person that is on just to do like a drop for us.
Okay. Hey, everybody, I'm Angela Rye. I'm here with Northwest Credible Messengers having a credible conversation with some incredible people. I hope that you all will tune in to this and many, many more.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we really do want to give you your
Yes,
phone.
these are for you.
I appreciate it, y'all. I'm serious.